Apparently, just like in the fashion industry where space investing is concerned, you're either in or out. The homegrown Australian rocket Eris finally had a successful launch. Forget meteoric impacts. The biggest threat to a future moon base is moonquakes. Speaking of space weather, space hurricanes are real and they're dangerous. China's Long March continues with their sixth orbital deployment of their own internet network. A new coating they just discovered could extend the life of space solar panels. Russia agrees with NASA on ISS cooperation through 2028. And none other than Scientific American claims full support for Artemis is the best hope for NASA's future and American prestige. Really? From the news desk at the Center of Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. Good evening again. As you know, this show is brought to you by the Center of Space Commerce and Finance. What do? We champion and strengthen emerging space startups, space-adjacent enterprises through advisory, access, and advocacy. Our programs fortify business plans and investor readiness for founding teams at varying levels of development. Now, a lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. So if you just go to the website cscf.space/support and click that plain as day donate button, a little in the tip jar each month will make a big difference. Thanks so much. Welcome now, my longest space friend from his perch high atop the lunar elevator, Michael Lane. There he is.
Hey, how's things?
Hey, no hat.
No hat.
No heart jar in his head. No, nothing. We were just talking about that before the show. It says, yeah, I don't know anyone who's been in the service who ever wore their hat when they left or something. It's like, I don't know.
They're all bald. It's okay to wear a hat. It's just everybody I know that was in the service any length of time is half bald because of wearing it.
Well, that's true. I did have interaction with Jim Armour for a long time.
Yeah, right.
He was a billiard ball, man. He just, he was a lifer. I didn't meet him after he already retired.
Yeah. Hey. Welcome, Morty. Welcome, Jason. At first, he had me fooled because I thought he was in Holland. He was like, "Oh, Holland, Michigan." Hey,
our guys, they're in.
Thanks,
okay. Y'all. Okay. Before we get to the tomfoolery, a little bit later, I guess we do have some news items. They're a little weird this time. Not a huge intersection between space and money, but we have to grab what we can grab and see what comes of it. I love this. It's investing in space thing on the CNBC link. You're in or you're out. So what does that mean? What does that mean?
What is that about?
You sent me that actually.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's CNBC. So we don't get a lot of coverage at CNBC for the space stuff. So just by itself, that it exists at all, that CNBC is covering the space sector is a kind of big deal. I saw this maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that. And it felt like a blip on the radar. But now they've got a newsletter. CNBC is investing in space. Newsletter offers a view into the business of space exploration and privatization, delivered straight to your mailbox. Ooh. Sign up to receive future editions. So I am in fact doing that.
Which let's see,
because
which phony email address should I use
right. Well,
when I'm surfing anonymously that so I can sign up with them?
right. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, right? This feels like it's not a blip on the radar, right? So that
Yeah.
was the first thing. Now they're talking a lot about stuff that we've already talked about. So there wasn't anything that I felt was like, ooh, that's new, or ooh, that's cool,
Right.
that we
And of course,
haven't already, because we're new and we're cool, and we definitely know this stuff better than CNBC does. But I was pretty psyched that they're doing it at all. So
yeah. I mean, this first one, it was they infused it with a lot of history, assuming that
yeah.
I guess assuming that their readers were as clueless as they are.
Right.
Which it makes sense, in the larger context. But they did say all the right things. China wants to establish a base on Mars. Russia is doing stuff. The appeal of Mars is inevitable. Blah 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 blah. And of course, they talked about Blue Ghost and they talked about Firefly's IPO. So okay, they've caught us up, very quickly.
Right.
And so there you go. And then they have all sorts of little pithy little headlines that you can click on. Like, hey, do you want to know more?
Do you want to know more? Everybody who does not know that, and I'm looking at you, Morty, because I've brought stuff up to Morty before, and he just does not know the cultural references. That is from the world's worst movie, Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it's too bad too, because the book wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but they turned it into this horrible, horrible movie. I saw it in the theater and I wanted to throw up when I was done. Are you kidding me?
All of my friends went to.
I don't want to know more.
Opening night, and we were like, we didn't start booing, but what we decided that it was as campy as I don't know. I don't know. Just we decided it was an okay movie because they just had never read a Heinlein book. That's what we decided. Yeah. But anyway, that's a tagline.
Here's something you don't know. They made sequels to that.
Oh yeah, five.
And they were very low budget, and they went straight to cable as soon as they were done.
Yep.
And you had to really look to find them.
Right.
And they were equally as bad.
Well, what was
done with less money?
They were in the earliest days of the internet, right? It would have been like 1996, 98, something like that.
It was 96, I think it was 96 when Starship Troopers came out.
Yeah.
So the other ones they went through 2005 or something. They made those.
Yeah.
And
And so the idea of asking your computer, do you want to know more, was like really live and relevant back then. So
yeah.
Anyway, do you want to know more? So this CNBC article is kind of interesting. It's a good roundup. I thought that was kind of cool. There was a little tiny piece in here about U.S. Space Command's prepping for satellite combat, which is very intriguing, and then links to other articles. And then, again, something we've already reported a lot on is it talks more about the 20% workforce departure at NASA. Which
they mentioned that.
Yeah, that's insane. I think that's kind of all there is here. Oh yeah, do you want to say anything more about what we've also already reported on is the Firefly IPO?
Not really.
Nothing new on that, right?
Yeah, there's nothing new on that. So it's going to happen the way they want it to, or I don't know what's going to happen to it. The next thing up is we've been talking about this, Gilmore Space Tech Eris rocket. I guess it finally launched successfully the other day.
I was really perplexed by this.
Okay.
Because didn't we just watch it crash just a few days ago? Do they have a spare just ready to go?
That's why I put it up there. I thought, okay, 3 days earlier it died. And now it's back.
We watched that thing go sideways.
It's back.
And then anyway, I was a little surprised that they had a spare just ready to go straight out the gate there.
the same Australians who gave you the vaccine propaganda in 2021 now bring you a new rocket back from the dead.
Yeah. One thing, hats off to it being built almost entirely in-house. So that's kind of cool because that's not how we do it anymore. Not usually. SpaceX still a lot of stuff in-house.
SpaceX does it. They like to build everything in-house.
Well, I was just about to make that.
That is a big distinction.
Yeah.
Compared to everybody else, including ULA, who's getting their rocket engines from Russia.
Right.
Oh, big mistake.
Right. Oops. Well, whoops.
Oops.
Oh, yeah. Do you know anything about the CEO, Adam Gilmore? I know nothing.
About him. It's like
I think it's kind of courageous to name your company after you. I did that during my internet days, and I'll never do that again.
Right.
Right. That was a lesson.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him. I mean, I've seen nothing about this guy. It feels kind of.
But it's interesting because we keep running into this.
Yeah.
We keep running it on this show. We must be picking the right news stories or something because we're raising the question. I don't know who this guy is. Do you know who this guy is? And no one else knows who this guy is either. So maybe everyone should find out who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And no one else is covering this. So hey.
Yeah. Well, we beat CNBC to like 4 different headlines. So that's who we are.
Yep. And GeekWire. Yeah, I think we beat them a couple of times too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What up? So there's this report in Space Daily today. It said that the real concern for future long-term lunar missions is not asteroids or meteors falling out of the sky. No, it's moonquakes. And they're serious about it.
Yeah.
The odds of getting hit by a meteor on the moon are about the same as winning the Powerball, according to them.
Right.
But the odds of getting caught up in a bad moonquake are about those of getting dealt 4 of a kind in a high-stakes poker game.
Right.
Which is only 5,500 to 1.
Right. Yeah.
That's what they said. That's okay. And I guess we never really, we missed that window because I think the longest we stayed on the moon was Taurus Littrow for 3 whole days.
Right. Yep.
And the odds of getting in a moonquake because they were in a valley, and so a moonquake could have really caused them a problem. The stuff coming loose and boulders rolling down into the valley, and so but they were only there 3 days. But what if they were there 3 years?
I mean. It's interesting. I feel like we would have seen that. Do we just not have sensing equipment strong enough to notice that stuff?
Yes, we don't have equipment on the ground on the moon. It's been
no, not on the ground, but
we're doing stuff.
We're
doing stuff with lasers and things. We're getting some sensitivity, but nothing beats a good. Seismic monitor there sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Like that, put the glass up to the wall and actually listening and feeling what's going on.
Well, I like this last line from the scientist there. We want to make sure exploration on the moon is done safely and investments are made in a way that's carefully thought out. The conclusion we came to is this. Don't build right on top of a scarp or recently active fault. You know what? That's good advice on Earth also. So,
yeah, well, it didn't stop LA. It didn't stop San Francisco.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't stop Anchorage.
I do think I'm kind of curious about how this one's a little bit new to me. I mean, I've heard about it, but I've never thought of it as an actual problem. Maybe that's how the landers keep tipping over. They land and then like a millisecond later there's a moonquake and the thing topples over. Maybe that's it. We don't know.
That's what I think. That's what Jason just says. It's just all the more reason to establish facilities on Shea Michael in L1 and take the elevator to work. I love that.
Shay Michael. That's going to be the
Yeah.
new name, man. That's what we are officially
At
calling
least spell it right, Jason.
That's good.
All right.
All
But
right. So Moonquake. I mean, legit. I do wonder about that.
yeah.
So all right, we're gonna just go off on a limb here.
Well,
For
here's the thing. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna build a habitat. Don't build it in the valley where there's a lot of boulders and it looks like a lot of dust buildup hanging out, because you may end up in a really horrible avalanche, and or a big boulder hits you and the avalanche won't matter.
You know, I a couple days ago they came out with a new study. They're using AI to identify keyhole sites on the moon.
Okay.
I didn't send it to you because it was like, oh, that's science. We're not going to talk science on the show. But I was actually really curious about it, so I kind of dug into it a little bit. They found 16 new keyhole sites in just a matter of weeks, just with better AIs.
Well, yeah, I found like 3 different things the last couple of days that I didn't include in this list for that reason. It's really sciencey and geeky and really cool.
Right.
But you know, where does money come into it? So we can talk about moonquakes because we want to build a moon base that makes money. Right. And so technically, you know, we're on topic.
Well, let's take Jason's idea for a second and talk about the elevator just for a moment.
Sure.
If we're sunk into the lunar surface is now shaking. It propagates a vibration up the string. Like that's a real thing to be wondering about.
Badly tuned guitar string is going to be you know.
Some of the experiments that we did probably at the end of Liftport. Actually, it was kind of during the zombie days. So Liftport was officially closed during the zombie days. So it would have been maybe 2000, 9, 10, 11, something like that. We were doing some robots climbing up and down, and then the string below and the string above, even though it's one single string, because the robot is there, each of these strings acts like a separate string. So the frequency of vibration for the bottom string is different from the frequency of vibration for the top string. And as the robot is climbing up and down, whichever is the shorter string gets the faster vibration, whichever is the longer string gets the shorter, the longer vibration. And depending on where a lifter is on the moon, that moonquake is going to have a really interesting impact on our robots and also on our Lagrange site. So it's not a trivial question. I had not thought about it seriously until recently. I'm like, maybe we should put that into our research problem. So because I didn't think the numbers were this. Well,
I hope in the next few years, at least, we can get some. I know we're going to land a human crewed mission to the lunar South Pole, where we want to do all our digging for water and everything. Hopefully, they were going to bring some great seismometers with them, and you know, they're a few cuts above, you know, what we left the last time, and we'll start getting that kind of data.
Well, we've also been using the laser cubes that the original Apollo missions left there. So we've been able to tell when the thing is shaking from that also. So it's not like we don't have any data, but I was a little surprised by some of the numbers in here. I had not seen that before.
Right. Of course, the next thing, if moonquakes weren't enough, now you have space hurricanes.
Hurricanes might as well.
They shake up Earth's magnetic field and scramble satellites without a solar storm in sight. The space hurricane. It's coming. It's coming for you. It even
Uh,
has a calm eye-like center.
yeah, talk about that a little bit. That was kind of neat.
Yeah. Instead of clouds and rain, these electromagnetic tempests are made of plasma, charged particles whipped into a frenzy by Earth's magnetic field. And they can mimic the effects of a geomagnetic storm, shaking Earth's magnetic field and scrambling GPS signals, even when space weather, as we normally know it, appears calm. Apparently, they don't happen very often. And the first one was actually observed in 2014. And they took some data and some ground data and some imagery, and they showed for the first time that the stealthy, swirling structure was an active electrodynamic storm capable of triggering real and potentially disruptive space weather effects. So they found this thing in Shandong University in China for the first time, and they also found it in imagery from the U.S. Defense Meteorological Satellite Program
Mm-hmm.
with a big spiral pattern with an eye in the middle. Wow.
Yeah, I did
That's kind
not
of
know that was a
creepy.
thing. Yeah.
And given the magnetic fields of Jupiter and Saturn, you can imagine those things happen all the time.
Yeah.
Surprised
Yeah.
no one's seen it there and reported on this.
Well, the first thing I thought of when I read this was we should probably send this to Mary Gantz, who's doing radiation and space weather as a service, because I thought maybe she could kind of spread some light on this one, because again, the hard sciences of space, I think they're cool, but I don't know that much about them. So it's always
I look at these things when it disrupt, because it's disrupting. Wait, here's another key in though, tie-in.
Yeah.
It's going to disrupt our economic activity.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Yeah.
And our satellite networks. And God, whatever else Space Force wants to do, and all the other things that we worry about in life sometimes.
Well, historically, long before there was a National Weather Service, the U.S. Navy was monitoring the shores of America for ice. They were the first. I'm going to call them National Weather Service, but they were the first group in America actively monitoring weather for us. And they've been tracking ice buildup since before America was America. And this does seem like a precedent for Space Force to get in and start paying attention to to this. So, yeah,
I know they all watch our show.
Yeah,
so these guys at Space Force. So we're saying it out there now, guys. All you guardians out there, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get this going.
Exactly. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I mean, Sean's right. Risk mitigation is a real economic thing. It's just such a new phenomenon. We're just starting to learn about it. I think it's going to be a while before we're there yet, as far as predictive behavior.
Right.
There's just so much data. We have this much data. We need like this off the screen before we can start doing that.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of satellite networks, China marches on. They're doing their own constellations, and they just launched the sixth one the other day. Just kind of reminding everybody, regardless of what we debate about or report about here, they just keep going. It's just like it's like just the machine cranks and more stuff comes out. So we need to start cranking our own machine. We'll be talking about that in a minute too. And that's really all I wanted to say about that, unless you have something you want to add.
I just had one thing. I did not realize there's two things in here. This is China's 41st orbital mission in 2025. So we're, not quite 3/4 of the year done. But that puts them on track for about, let's call it 70 orbital missions this year, which I think is really solid for China, considering how many other rocketry programs they have in development. I suspect that number is going to go up a lot next year and the year after, but I'm definitely watching that number.
Yep.
What I
Well,
didn't know was that that's the 586th flight of the Long March series, which
yeah.
honestly, that really surprised me. I did not think that thing had that heritage. I didn't think they had hit over 500. I didn't think they were even close to that.
Well, where do you think they got it from?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
They
no.
got it-
Well, that
It's
was not the same copycat as their new stuff is. That
no,
one,
but it started out the first Long March rocket. It was a copy of a Soyuz,
Soyuz.
and
Yeah,
so
yep,
they're still launching those today.
yep.
They're launching Russians to ISS. So
Mhm.
how many have they flown? Probably more than 500.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I just didn't think that the Long March had the same heritage
yeah.
and track record. So good on
Well,
them for that. Yeah.
they haven't beaten SpaceX yet.
No.
SpaceX passed the century mark last year. They're on track to do it again this year.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't think Elon's too worried yet. Until they pass him in total numbers, he's not going to worry about much. He's got his own thing to do. Now here's something that's actually here's money. Here we go. Here's something about money.
We would get there eventually.
Money. Look at it over here. There's money there and money there. Look, there is something they call it a cosmic shield breakthrough, but basically it's a coating. It's again on Space Daily. It's called a cosmic shield special coating that's supposed to extend the life of space solar cells.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it could extend the life of all sorts of solar cells, including the thin film solar that we're going to be putting on our Ave Alto high altitude platforms, for instance. And so that could help us too and extend the life. Right now, the machines we're building, 101 meters long with all the solar panels on it. We're predicting a natural lifespan of about 5 years with each one of those.
Yep.
Now, if we can extend that a couple of years, that just saves money, with the. So, I mean, that thing's going to be good for everybody. It's going to be good. I mean, this is not a space scalable project. This is reverse space scalable. You're building something for space, but it's going to have, it's going to have lots of terrestrial opportunity built into it. So the guys who made this stuff are going to be, they're going to be in it. And so good for them.
Yeah. Good for us.
Good for all anything good for everybody. Anything to improve stuff.
Yeah.
And all the alt energy stuff that we talk about here, I would do anything to get rid of those damn windmills. And so if we could do a better solar and it lasts longer, that's something. I prefer thorium reactors that we've talked about before. But hey, if we can, at the expense of those awful windmills, build more solar and it lasts longer, you get more power out of it. Okay, it's something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always wondered. I did a project many years ago, probably 2009 and 10, where I was working on a space-based solar power system, and they were promising gigawatt power within 5 years. So if you're counting that would have been completed in space and operational, a gigawatt power system by 2015. So 10 years too late. All right, 10 years ago.
Right.
And I had the audacity to start questioning their numbers. I was at that company for 4 months, and my first "I quit, you're fired" conversation happened 3 days after I got there. And I had
once you see the reality, you're going to see the reality.
Yeah, I had my second "I quit, you're fired" conversation in week number 2, and then I just kept my mouth shut for a little while because, frankly, I wanted the paycheck. And by month number 4, I'm like, wait a second, y'all are promising. By the way, they were working with the Chinese, so that was a red flag I was not really aware of. They were promising that gigawatt power system, and I'm like, what are you basing this off of? Like, where's your math? Where's your science? Show me what you got here. And they're like, oh, here's this article. So it was promising some number. I think it was like 32% efficiency. So I tracked down the source, and they could make 1 square meter of solar panels every 30 days. Every 30 days, because it was so advanced technology. It was straight off. It was a lab level technology. It was not a factory production system.
Mm-hmm.
It would have taken a lifetime to develop a gigawatt power system.
Yeah,
and I told the powers that be, I'm like, this isn't going to work, and nobody wanted to hear that. And I'm like, and I'm done. But I also kind of that lesson for me was, when I see articles like this, I then want to know, how scalable is this tech? If it's a lab level anomaly, it's cool. It leads to something in the future, but scaling a lab tech production to a factory production is a very different animal. And that's where Liftport got killed our first time around, right? That's where our nanotech stuff stopped. We could not scale. So I do look at this with a little bit of skepticism, only because I have some idea how hard it is to translate it from lab to production. So curious.
Yeah, that's always been, in fact, that's been my biggest, thought and criticism of the space-based solar power people, is that it's one thing to build some small scale things that actually can produce some stuff in short distances in space and do interesting stuff. Right. But it's another thing to build an incredibly large Hoover Dam kind of scale and run it like a utility company.
Right. Yeah.
And get it into the grid. Good luck.
Yeah.
That's a very, very different animal. And that's why I think their financial projections for what it's going to cost to build something like that are way off.
Yeah,
way off. Maybe a factor of 5.
Yeah, it's really hard to do that stuff. The last thing I'm going to say about it is, once again, our friends in South Korea are in the news with another space breakthrough. Those folks are really moving quickly to build their space assets. Flex their space muscles.
They want a moon base.
Yeah. We talked about that just last week, and we talked about the Korean KESA, Korean Air and Space Administration. They developed a program just in the last 5 years. They just keep doing the work, and so hats off to those folks.
Yeah.
What
else? Oh, the Russian space chief signed an agreement with NASA on ISS cooperation through 2028. So we're getting close to that fateful day when the ISS may disappear anyway. But it's good to know, at least they're in it to the end, more or less. At least as of today, Roscosmos said, "Yeah, okay, we'll stick around."
Did you see that coming? Because honestly, I didn't. I thought they were going to pull out.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah,
because half those modules belong to them. They could just detach it. It says, "Oh, we're going over here now."
They said they were going to. They have said they were going to a couple times.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit surprised by that. I think that's probably pretty good that they're going to be around. We're talking about 2030 for us to deorbit it.
And they're looking at that too. The guy said, we're gonna help out with that if that's what's going to happen. If we assume that's what's going to happen, and we'll work with you on that and make sure it happens the right way. And
SpaceX is looking for I think it's an $800 million contract to deorbit that thing. Of course, our friend Rick Tomlinson is leading the charge to not deorbit it at all, put it into a larger, higher parking orbit, turn it into something. I think there's value in turning it into a counterweight for the space elevator myself.
Well, there you go. That'd be of some use, I guess. You wouldn't need the gateway.
Yeah,
that silly gateway.
Right.
You wouldn't need that.
Yep.
Then my buddy Dennis Stone, 38 years at NASA and now an independent consultant with VAST as one of his customers, is saying, I can't bring the ISS down fast enough.
Right.
I'm done. We're so done with this. He was
Right.
there for 38 years. I can't take it down fast enough. I just want, we're never going to build private space commercial stations and be competitive and do all the things that we as competitive space geeks want to do with that big, $3 billion a year lump sitting up there.
Yeah. Yep.
There. So, the debate goes both ways. I love to actually have that debate. I love to get those people on the show, though. I love to get Dennis on the show and Rick Dumlinson and guys like that to say, point counterpoint. Let's do it. Let's talk about that. Maybe we can figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Sean, put that on the to-do list. That'd be good.
Yeah.
We just before the show, we were talking about talking about maybe doing some sort of like focused topic, right? So we've done a bunch about law, policy, property rights. We've done a bunch on logistics. We're trying to figure out like, okay, what's our next like topic that we're going to dig into and put some emphasis on.
Yeah.
Sean's
that might be a good one.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
to
I think
splash or not to splash.
Yeah, to splash or not to splash.
And get some really good people who actually know their shit about this issue to come on and debate each other.
Yeah,
and we'll just sit there. We'll just sit back and watch the yelling happen. We can just
get
be
some
moderators.
Popcorn, right? Get some.
Hey.
Yeah.
Pull out a bottle of single malt. We can have a great time.
Right.
That's it. Now we have this last thing, and this could turn into a topic for the rest of the hour. We're already 37 minutes in, but up to you or whatever you guys want to talk about. This is because we don't have a guest this evening, but I saw this goofy thing. I call it goofy because I think they're nuts. It's in Scientific American, what used to be one of the premier publications in America. Me growing up. The boomers growing up reading this thing, we waited every month. That's what we wanted,
Right.
Between that and the Daredevil comics, we got, Scientific American. Come on. And now they're putting this thing out here saying, well, only strong support for NASA and Project Artemis will advance the U.S. and keep us in the lead and help us in space. What are you smoking?
I knew okay, I'm taking the hit for that. I sent this article to you. Knowing exactly that, right? That Scientific America had this crazy reputation, so good, so powerful. It was the think tank of America.
Yeah, it was.
And it was a trusted, valuable ally in science. And to get published at Scientific America was a huge deal. And
they had peer-reviewed stuff that they put on there once in a while. True peer-reviewed stuff. And they borrow from other publications like Nature or something like that. And with permission, they put it in there. To make that cut was really a privilege.
Yeah. No, it really was. And then I'm not sure what's happened in their editorial process or anything like that. But I thought this article was kind of like, I had to kind of catch my breath. I was like, who is this author? Who are these people that wrote this? Like, I felt like I had to, review the source. And so, this is an opinion piece, which is really important to note. It's an opinion piece.
Absolutely.
At Scientific American.
Which I guess we disagree with 100%.
Well, yeah. I mean, 100%. There are elements in here that I do think are worth asking about.
Sure.
The guy's claim to fame is he wrote a book on the Apollo fire. Like, okay, that does not necessarily qualify you, but all right.
I know, but at minimum, that's my view on it. At minimum, 5 pairs of Falcon Heavies with all the full load on them.
Yep.
That equals 5 full loads of an Artemis rocket.
Yep.
for the same price.
Fraction,
For the same price, you can put 5 times the payload of one Artemis.
Right.
You know, just using Falcon Heavies, not even
right.
Starship.
So we all on this show know those numbers, but I saw this and I'm like, this is going out to an awful lot of smart people, but smart people that don't necessarily know the depth that we know, right? They don't, their life is not dedicated to that intersection of money and space. Right. So this is almost a solid propaganda piece going out to the unlearned but smart, right? Yeah. They don't have our focus and depth, but they're smart people. So I felt like this was bad. This was not good for the industry.
Well, and here's the other observation I took away from this. Look, they're talking. What they did was the Congress did restore the funding for Artemis 4 and 5.
Yeah,
and so basically you have Artemis 2, which is flying hopefully next year. They're sending people to orbit the moon. Artemis 3 is supposed to be a landing mission, and we're going to stop there and move on. Do something cheaper. But no, they restored funding for 4 and 5.
Yep.
And so, which are other landing missions. So we got 3 landing missions, and then we don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
Now, to me, I looked at that from the high view of history. I thought, well, we finally got back Apollo 18, 19, and 20.
That's it. Right.
That's what we did.
57
years. We finally got them back.
57
There's that one old guy. There's that one old guy from the Apollo 13 movie.
Right.
And he was going there and he was going, yeah, when I fly on 18, I'm bringing all my Hank Williams collection. Remember that guy? I don't know which astronaut that was, but if he's still alive, he's probably going to finally get to do it.
Right.
But this is Apollo on Viagra. It just shows you, what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like the end line where he's basically asking for justification. Why, Mr. President? Why are we doing this? What is the reason for doing this? But he pulled out, a quote from 1967.
Of course he did.
To kind of give his argument gravitas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, that was politically very astute, but you definitely have a reason for writing this article. Now I'm like, well, shit, if he can write an article, we can write an article.
We can write an article.
Right?
We should write a counterpunch to this.
If he doesn't have any credentials, we at least have credentials.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should write something.
We should. I'll help you. I love it. We can do that.
I'll tell you, Tom, I did not expect you to put this into the show. I was gonna be like, really? I just wanted to talk about it, but I'm glad you put it in the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
For all I know, this guy is buddies with Bill Nelson, and that's how it got in. I really don't know. I don't know who this guy is, but viewers, what do you guys think? Should Michael and I write a hit piece in reverse and send it to him? Morty thinks we should.
All right. Yeah. Well, I've given Sean Key a lot of credit. He's actually a really good writer. Christina, our intern's a really good writer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we can all crank it out. So it's I wrote the Space Cynics, for how many years?
Right.
And so I've got a track record too. All
right, y'all. What do you? We got about 16 minutes here. We kind of stretched out the news longer than we usually do. What have you got? What do you all want to talk about? Anything in particular? You want to go back to the news a little bit, go into a little bit more depth? What do you got? Hey, AJ, Dr. Cathari, thanks for being here. Let's see. Yeah, the Rectenna numbers are awful. Yeah, we all want a small nuke more than we want any other. Is that true, Tom? I mean, I think that's true for you. We want a small nuke more than we want anything else.
I think so. Well, thorium is just the way to go because you can crank them out fairly quickly, and you can distribute them quickly and get them licensed and online quickly if you have the political will to do it.
Yeah.
And as I've said before in this program, the only reason we're not building 100 thorium reactors right now is because thorium reactors can't produce fissile material for nuclear bombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the defense establishment has been putting the kibosh on that, obviously, because they want their U-235 and their U-238 230 overflow from just standard energy manufacturer to make more bombs if they need to. How many thousands do we have already?
Yeah.
They haven't reached their half-life yet.
Oh,
we don't have to worry about that. It's
another article I did not send you was an Al Jazeera piece on why America is threatened by China's development, which also was pretty entertaining. Yeah, and it references that how many nukes we have versus how many China has, and that we're the warmongers. Yeah, it was an interesting piece. I do tend to read stuff like that to kind of like broaden my horizons and kind of stay out of my own.
Yeah, but you know what? I like to broaden my horizons too. But don't you run across articles sometimes, even in our field, where you're like, more stupid by the time you got done reading it?
Yeah. Do you remember a couple months ago?
This is one of those, by the way.
Right. Yeah. No, there was one a couple months ago that was the local folks, Gravitics, just north of me, about 30 miles north, 40 miles north of me. They won a contract for Space Force to build a carrier bus for satellites, and all of the imagery that came online from that looked like a cross between a Death Star and a aircraft carrier, and they're like, American company gets a contract to build a carrier for in space. I'm like, y'all did not read the article.
Well, at least they didn't. At least they didn't make a direct copy of that thing from one of the Avengers movies. They had the flying, aircraft carrier, the shield carrier that went up, and the big fans. At least they didn't copy that one. I made it really obvious.
Yeah. No, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Morty's right though. The article was really describing how China's economic and technological advancement is happening on a percentage base faster than America, and eventually they'll probably eclipse us just from sheer numbers. It's going to be a while, but yeah, that's exactly right.
I know someone asked what kind of panel. Sean asked, what kind of panels would you like to see in future episodes? That's an interesting question, because I can think of all sorts of weird topics that aren't always at the intersection of space and money, but would make for a great panel. So
I think ISS deorbit is a good one.
Yeah, I think that's a great first one, and maybe we'll turn into one, because Sean posted something today. He's not blowing his horn about it, but he posted something about kind of the dichotomy between the CisLunar economy and the Mars Belt economy. He sees the dichotomy of what's going on. There's not a lot of interchange between the two economies. I'm talking about, let's fast forward 50 or 100 years. Who's trading what with whom? And so you have this Mars asteroid belt kind of economy where they're probably shipping. I've always had this fantasy anyway. I wanted to do like a TV show about it. I wrote a treatment for it one time, and it was about basically, Mars has a lot of industry, and they have a lot of stuff going on. They're a trading center, and they're a banking center, a couple hundred years from now. And a lot of these asteroid miners and people who live out in the belt and beyond, they all have different things that they produce, but a lot of it ends up being traded on Mars. And so the asteroid miners, a couple times a year, the asteroid miners all kind of focus. They just go to Mars to party. It's like the guys after a big cattle drive. They all go to Kansas City, and they sell their cattle, and then they drink the town dry for a week. And then they go do a cattle drive again. Could be the same thing happening. And so the story was built around this city. It was just built around that.
That's awesome. I love that.
Water monopoly empire, because some guy started out with some oil roughnecks drilling into the Martian soil and tapped into an ocean of fresh water, and they just built a city around it, and then came the casinos. I mean, it's fast forward a couple of centuries, so this is what you have.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't surprise me if some things turned out that way.
It's one of the reasons why I always like the Firefly TV show, because they just did such a good job of depicting the Wild Wild West in the way that's going to play out in space. I just think that it was fun and well done, and I think there's some realism to that.
Yeah.
Morty's asking about how much is it going to cost to move the ISS to a stable lunar orbit versus crashing it. I think it does make a really interesting counterweight. The more mass we have on the string, the more we can hold on the ribbon, but it's not designed well for our purposes, right? Because there is actually going to be tension on it in a very specific, downward towards.
And that's one of the many reasons that Stoney says we should just get rid of it, because it's not built right to do anything else.
Yeah,
I even had this idea. Look, we have all these modules that are built by different places and companies and countries, and it seems like you'd be able to part this thing out. There's about 6 main modules attached in a string.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just part them out and sell them to private commercial outfits, and they each get a piece of the original plus all their other stuff they want to add, as an attraction.
I wonder what your boss Walt would say to that plan, because that guy got burned more than anyone in history over that. So,
well, I'm the one that's determined, if he ever gets filthy rich again on Avialto, that I'm going to make sure he doesn't do that again.
Right.
No, you're not invest. No, not this one. Not this time. No,
not this time.
No. Well, no. These guys over here, maybe not. No, not that one.
Joe is on my wavelength. That's what I want to do. I want to strip the thing down and use it for parts.
Yep. So basically, salvage,
yeah.
Salvage at L1.
Yeah.
Just, if you're going to move it, move it to L1, then strip it down for parts or resell the parts to people on the moon, people going somewhere else. You can stop by L1 and get stuff, or you can ship it back the other way. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. Some good assessor is going to go up there and say, okay, okay, we can sell this copper tubing for this so much per pound. Okay, and then we got some. Oh, look at this! We got some great old filters here. Yeah, have people been smoking by this thing? It looks so filthy.
I just sent. Remember, we had the folks in Lee from CisLunar Industries. We had them on our show a while ago. NASA just came out with a request. No, sorry, was it ESA and NASA? I think it was NASA just came out with a request for a proposal for salvage in on-orbit salvage. Like that RFI came out just, I don't know, 8 days ago, something like that. So
I know 3 or 4 companies right now that should be lining up for contracts for that, because they're already out there trying to grab the larger pieces of space junk.
Yeah.
And if that isn't ripe for salvage, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot of value there. I've talked before about it would be really cool to have the contract for waste at ISS for the last 25 years. So much value in astronaut poop, right? And not sarcasm, like that's got real value. And as Joe just said, we've already covered the shipping costs. So
right.
Yeah, the organics would be great.
Well, actually, one of those space toilets, though, up there that they use, I've heard the stories about how they function and what you had to do.
Yeah,
they should be, at least one of those should be brought back down and put in the Smithsonian as a museum piece. This is how they used to do that. Look at this.
Look at this. Whoa, right.
You hear McCoy in the background going, "It's from the bloody dark ages."
Wouldn't be a bad idea to put one of those in the halls of Congress somewhere too.
You can only use this one,
right? Yeah, you guys got to use this one because this is what y'all made us do. Yeah. All right. So Any other suggestions for topics we want to kind of dig into, kind of writ large? Do we want to go farther into space weather? I would kind of tend to say no, but it's come up a couple times. One thing that Sean's aiming for is to get some venture capitalists and also funded space companies, right? Like, who the folks that are waking up with $5 and $25 million in their checking account. After
that was the original premise.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
the guys who write the checks are the guys who get the checks, so we can circle back around and go, "Hey, where are you?"
Yeah,
it's and we can advertise. We can advertise that anytime we want on our social media feeds. Hey, we're looking for guys who write checks and people who get checks.
That's exactly.
Want to be guests on our show? Come on down.
Yeah,
and see what we get.
Yeah. What other topics? I know that Joe's interested in the moon. Anybody? And I don't see Doug on the call right now, but we know that he's interested in Mars. What other things should we focus on? I'd love to hear your comments. We didn't get anything out of that orbital bridge Aruga.
Not yet.
We didn't really get a whole lot out of that.
I think Auriga is just like they're stuffing themselves into a trash compactor right now, because of that huge takedown. It's like, how do you argue with this if you're Auriga space?
Right. Okay. That's what Sean. That's a thing to look for. Let's get the folks who backed Auriga on our show.
Oh,
I don't want the Auriga puppet masters. I want the people who. Who actually,
if they're brave enough to come on,
right?
The ones who wrote them checks.
Yeah.
And we're going to go, are you out of your mind?
Right. Yeah. I'd like to know. Yeah, Marty.
I won't do that. I won't do that. I've been,
we're not a hit piece kind of show.
I've also been in too many training sessions, too many boot camps. To go, it says, look, I asked the question. No, do you really think this works economically? What was your thinking process when you did the due diligence on this?
Mm-hmm.
And hi, yeah, okay. Hey, we're gonna. She's it on Thursday because Sean's not gonna be here. So baptism of fire.
Yep. She's been doing great. Shout out to Christina as an intern. She's really she's gotten a bunch of our shows put into AI. She's got transcripts. She's got summaries, building out web pages for the shows. Yeah, so she's done great for the show.
Well, I would want to take Sean's idea of those two distinct economic zones in the future between CisLunar and Mars Belt.
Yeah.
The Mars and Belt Initiative, or what was that called?
Belt and Road. Yep.
Yeah, the Belt and Mars Initiative is one, and the CisLunar is the other. Yep. But that would be a great thing to discuss as a panel kind of discussion. If we get the right people in there to do that. That would be a lot of fun. Right. They'll have other things, and you guys watching know how to get a hold of us, and you have friends. If you have ideas, put them out there. You can email them to us, and tao@cscf.space.
Cool.
And so we'll do that, and we're a minute out. So I think let's see. No, we don't have a guest scheduled for Thursday, but obviously anything can happen in 3 days. Otherwise, we'll be talking like we did tonight about the usual news, controversial topics, hearsay, and innuendo, and general heresies that we'll be talking about, as long as we can find, and along with the usual tomfoolery as we've done just now. And so, so until next time, Thursday, we'll be here as always live at 8 p.m. Eastern on this channel. And for Michael Lane and Sean Key, I'm from the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. This is Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies. I'm telling you, they're coming.